Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Thursday afternoon. There is sunlight behind me, which means that we're going to burst into flames pretty soon. I'm Matthew Talon. I'm with Daniel John Schaefer. And as always, we are Mouth of the Mark. We're going to do something different. We're going to go back to our roots. We're going to go a little old school. This is a week in wrestling. Daniel, it's been a long time since we've done a full week. Let's see if we can fit it all in, buddy.
Man. I'm thinking that we might have to switch the trend, dude. Especially with how much sports means to the two of us. Monday nights there's going to be football, so we can't really do a great Raw review when we're bouncing back and forth. And honestly, man, NXT has just taken over so well that it's sad that we're not covering it. I know TNA's got a big pay-per-view coming up that is either going to sink or swim for them. And Ring of Honor is I feel like they're kind of getting to a point where they're getting into this murky little stalemate with themselves. They're losing all their talent, I feel like, to either GFW, Japan, or to NXT. So but yeah, I'm excited to go back to. I think we should just start doing a week in wrestling from now on, but we'll let the fans decide.
All 14
four
of them.
Yeah.
I give us 10 more. Come on.
Yeah, that's fair.
So let's get started. Let's start with Monday. Let's
Okay.
start with Monday Night Raw and lead us into it, bud.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've seen a lot of poor reviews on this Raw. People calling it the worst Raw ever. And I know it was rated really poorly, but honestly, I didn't feel like it was. It certainly wasn't a good Raw, but it wasn't nearly as bad as ones that we've seen even in the past 2 or 3 months. It opened up with Rollins' promo, which was phenomenal. His promo, because he kind of covered all of his bases with Cena and Sting, and it's pretty impressive to watch a guy like that, in one segment and one promo that didn't go over, hit both points really well on 2 separate feuds. Man, that guy's just working his ass off, and if you don't think he's the best guy in the company right now, you're on something, man, and you need to give me some of it, because that's just not it's just not the case. I don't understand how any wrestling fan can be watching Raw now and not think that Rollins is the man.
It's hard to compete. I mean, he's so good in the ring that his promo work is nothing to shake a stick at.
No.
The guy can talk. He's playing the role that he's given very well. I think that he has the unfortunate displeasure of being the man coming up upon football season, and we all know that football season is a lull. And you can argue that he's had the title for a while and it's been piss poor, blah blah blah. But I think he's had a great title reign. I think he's playing his role perfectly. The reason people think he's a piss poor heel or he's a piss poor champion is because he's doing his job. He's being that piss poor heel who has to cheat, who has to have people help him. He's being that, and his ring work backs it up. Hello, did anybody watch that match with Cena? That was a great match for both guys.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And I mean, I know that I made this comparison a lot, and a couple times I think Corey, your buddy Corey, said, he's this generation's HBK. And I mean, if you really look at that, not just as a worker, their styles are different, but if you go back and you look at the lowest point in WWF in the 90s, at the time, everyone was blaming Shawn Michaels because he was on top as the champion. He was hands down the best worker they'd ever had. His title reign was actually pretty good going back and watching it. But I'm sure at the time, people were saying the same things that they're saying about Rollins now. It's oh yeah, well, it's downtime for the company. Look at how poor the ratings are. He's obviously not that great. He's not a big draw. It's just, we're in a valley of wrestling, whereas a couple years ago with CM Punk and, WrestleMania 30 and everything, we were kind of at a peak. And the peaks and valleys in wrestling go in a 2 or 3 year period. There'll be 2 or 3 years where no one cares about it, and then there's 2 or 3 years where everyone's watching pro wrestling. And right now, I feel like we're either right down in the bottom or kind of back in the upswing, hopefully. But yeah, man, Rollins is just phenomenal, and I just feel like it's poor timing more than anything else.
Yeah, I agree entirely. I did like how they added Sting in to keep Sting in everybody's minds. I didn't really like I thought that after Sting went off, I thought that adding Sheamus in was a bad idea. I think that hurt Sheamus more than helped him. Because it takes the focus off of Sting. The focus should be on Sting and Rollins right now, especially as the marquee match. I thought it was bad booking.
Apparently Sheamus is related to Ronald McDonald now.
Right,
I don't know if you
right.
caught that, but that's so ridiculous. Like, I mean, yeah, that whole part of the segment dropped at like a letter grade and a half for me. Like, there was no need to have Sheamus out there at all. I understand that he wants to, that you need to kind of give him the rub with the Money in the Bank thing, but I almost think that like you could even go on a commercial and had Sheamus do his own promo and say something about Rollins, like
Or
it
do
just,
something backstage.
or do something backstage. Yeah, it did not go over well at all, and it was honestly, I don't know how you could write that down and think that that was going to work well. But after that, we had Paige and Sasha Banks opened up the match, which was a pretty decent match. There's a bunch of memes floating around about how like both girls had their shoulders down and all these small things that now all these internet marks care about details all of a sudden, but they also have no patience. So it's really weird. It's like they keep wanting. It's like they want to go back to these old school things like, well, the referees matter and cheating and all these things, but then, it's like, well, Seth Rollins isn't a good champion because he doesn't have a legitimate win. Like, when did Ric Flair ever win when he was a heel? Ever. He'll tell you that. He's a 16-time world champion and he won 18 matches. You know what I mean? Like, that out of his entire career. Like, he loses all the time. That's what a heel is supposed to do. He's supposed to squeak by. You don't want to have any shine. He doesn't need to be legitimized. And I'll go ahead and say that at one point I was one of those guys. I got caught up in my markdom, and I thought that he needed a clean win as a heel. And that's a dumb idea. I regret saying that now. It shouldn't have happened. As long as he can keep winning and keep stealing it every time, I don't think they should ever give him a clean win as a heel, ever. Because he's doing a great job with it.
Well, and here's my thing. So let's, with Sasha Banks and Paige, everybody's talking about the shoulders down and all this stuff. We're talking about the same people who demanded women wrestling and then just try to hijack the show during a women's wrestling match. So like, it's you want this, and you can't have your cake and eat it too. You either want good women's wrestling or you want to hijack the show.
Right.
Pick which one you want.
Yeah, totally. And then the rest of the card after this, as far as the actual wrestling card, was pretty piss poor. So I can understand that. I mean, we had the Ascension versus pretty much the Shield, and it was almost a straight squash. The Wyatt promo after the match was great, but the match itself was just lackluster to begin with. I mean, I gave that whole part a C, and that led straight into the Ryback Rollins match. Which, dude, that match, I gave it a B- because Rollins just carried the guy. I mean, and no one can watch that film and say that Ryback did his part, dude. I mean, he carried that match straight out. I mean, and the fact that Rollins he would keep powdering and keep doing the old classic heel things, and it made the whole match watchable, passable. It was actually pretty good, but I just hate Ryback so much that, I mean, I just can't.
You know what I noticed? Though? Ryback was selling for Rollins.
He was. And there were limited bumps too. So there was limited like ways for him to look clunky. You know what I mean? Like that was smart. The way they mapped the match out itself was really smart. That could have been a main event match. That could have been a paper, like, if you want to push Ryback to the moon like you're fucking apparently going to do, like that is the kind of match that they can have and actually pull off. And now I know that Rollins can carry that sack of shit, so he can carry anybody.
Well, not only that, but if you looked at it, and I mean, and maybe I looked at it objectively because I didn't watch live. So I saw some stuff out. It's like when we watched Ryback face Bray. He did things in that match with Bray that he doesn't do normally, and he did things in this match with Rollins that he doesn't do normally. He sold that super kick and that enziguri beautifully.
Yeah.
Beautifully. Like, it's like you want so bad for me. I like the powerhouse guys. I'm more of an indie mark guy, and most marks are. But I like my fair share of powerhouse guys. I liked Batista. I liked Bobby Lashley. All these guys. You want to like him. Like, you want him to be good. And when he sells like he did for Seth and for Bray, you see these glimmers of hope and glimmers of, man, you could be good. You could be a good power guy. Get beat down, have your comeback, either get cut off at the pass or go over. You could be good. You could be a 5 bump and done guy, and that could shoot you to the moon. Goldberg was a five bump and dump guy. Yeah, but
Goldberg, dude, honestly, Goldberg's promo skills were better than Ryback's.
I'm not saying Ryback's promo skills are good. What I'm saying is that depending on who he's in the ring with, he shows glimmers of talent. but like I don't know, like maybe if the spotlight isn't on him enough, he doesn't care, or maybe he just doesn't. I don't know, and maybe it is just something as simple as Bray and Seth are good enough to carry him and make him look good.
I think
Maybe it
that's
is
what it
that
is,
simple.
man. I just think it's that. I think it's that cut and dry. I think that those dudes are legends in the making, and they can make, like, to me, it's like that old saying, like, Shawn Michaels is the greatest of all time because he could take a broom in there and wrestle with it and make it look great. Like, that's. I think that those guys are getting to that point. They're getting to a point where they could put over a broom, and then we would sit here and be like, well, the broom actually did some decent things in selling. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is. Like, Ryback is he's the broom. I mean, he's the broom. Like, I mean, you know how I feel, dude. That guy shouldn't be in wrestling at all. But I mean, after that was the backstage segment with the New Day, Edge, Christian, and the Dudleys. That was
You mean the
awesome.
highlight of the night?
No, it was my highlight of the night. Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
awesome. But it was all nostalgia for me. If I wasn't 30, it probably wouldn't have been the highlight of the night for me. But it was great. The Edge and Christian podcast, I don't know if you caught that, but that
I
was
did.
really fun too. It wasn't controversial or whatever, but it was really fun, and it was cool to like learn that like don't look at me game. I mark out so hard for little backstage things that I don't know. You know what I mean? Like little
Yep.
small things like that, like or things that I like absolutely crave. I can't get enough of those kind of things. So that was a cool thing to see. And then the Ziggler Rusev, like as the world turns angle is just so tired. And then we had Orton Sheamus part 85. And I actually like played a game on my phone during this match just because, I mean, again, like it's so sad because these guys are good workers. It's just, and I feel like it's a rib now. I feel like it's a rib on the internet at this point. It's like I feel like they know how much we hate it and they're just continuing to shove it down our throat because they can. And I honestly think Orton and Sheamus are in on the rib. And I feel like in their mind, they're like, oh, well, we're just going to go out there and tear the house down. And, by the end of it, we're going to win them over. And that's just not going to happen. Like, even if you have the greatest wrestling match of all time, like the story's not there. I'm not invested and I've seen it a million times. So I just don't care anymore. Like, I
But
just don't care.
but that's us. That's us as marks. Your casual fans, like your little kids, they love to hate Sheamus and they love Randy Orton. So it's a staple match. It's a staple babyface heel match. It is. And
It
it'll
is,
stay
but
that
it's
way.
been so played out, man. It's just it's so tired.
It is. It is. But the casual fans loved Cena and Orton for forever. How long did we hate Cena and Orton together? I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
true.
And they did that for forever. So, like it's not going to go away. It's
Yeah.
not. They're going to keep it as a staple. But back to the podcast and the promo. The promo backstage, I loved. And I agree it was a bit of nostalgia. Uh, but I think that if anybody who is a mark, even if they're younger, like even younger kids, because I've been a mark since I was like 12, like
Yeah.
I learned the back dealings of the business a long time ago. So, I think even those kids who go back and like they have the network and they go back and they watch and they see all this stuff, WWE still showcases those tag team matches a lot. So I feel like it's, even the casuals or even the younger lifers will be like, oh, that's Edge and Christian, and that's the Dudleys. That's freaking cool. There's a meme that describes it perfect. There was what present day sees, and it's a shot of the promo, and then it's what we see, and it's the same shot, but they edited out the New Day and they stapled in the Hardy Boys, and I was like, yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty accurate. Yeah.
So, but I'm with you on the As the World Turns or the Bold and the Beautiful, whichever soap opera
Yeah.
you want to go with. Uh, I'm tired of it. On top of it, Lana broke her wrist, or she fractured her wrist. She had to undergo surgery. She's out for 4 months, so this thing's gonna get resolved without her.
Even
So,
God hates this angle. That's why he's doing this.
right, I saw that meme too.
Yeah.
uh, so and I forgot what else you said. Damn, I lost it. What was that?
Orton Shea. We covered it all.
Orton and
Orton
Sheamus.
Sheamus.
We covered it all. Okay, yeah. I just started. I jumped around. Okay.
Yeah.
So Orton and Sheamus. Yeah, we went with that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm with you on all accounts on all of that.
Yeah, I mean, and then after that, after the Sheamus Orton thing was the Dudley's Matador squash, and it was a basic squash, but it was good. And the saving grace to it was that they're finally getting rid of El Torito, and I'm hoping that the Matadors become a little, not even necessarily change the gimmick up totally, but just change the ring gear a little bit and go a little bit more heelish, because I do feel like they are a good team. There's just no investment in them, especially as baby faces. That was never going to get over, I don't think. And I do think they could be really good heels. Especially if they really continue to like bolster the tag team division. They could totally have a pretty nice like Lucha Dragons Matadors little baby feud, a little curtain jerker opener feud that could actually benefit both teams. They would just have to give them an ample amount of time and allow both sides to get their characters over. I mean, Lucha Dragons are still pretty over. Even with everything that happened on NXT, we'll get to that, but. The Matadors, I think they could be just as over as pretty much any other tag team in the company besides the Dudleys if they just take the gimmick a little bit more seriously.
I think they would be smart, maybe not to completely get rid of the gimmick, but if they would be a little closer to like Epico and Primo, like kind of like de-kid it. You know what I mean? Like just mature it up a little,
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be like the best way I would see going about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with keeping the name and just making the ring gear a little bit edgier, and I'd be fine with that. Like that it wouldn't bother me.
Right. Agree entirely. And I like that El Torito's gone. I will say though, I'm going to be quite sad that I don't get to see another WLC match.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that WLC match actually wasn't too bad.
That's what I meant. I meant that honestly. Like I didn't mean that sarcastically at all.
No, it really wasn't a bad match, man. Surprisingly,
that WLC match was match of the night for me on that pay-per-view. It was better than the full, like the actual TLC match.
Didn't we cover that one?
No, because that was back before WrestleMania 30. Like that was December before 30 because that was the TLC where Orton and Cena faced for the unification match, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I was just at Brent's house. I remember us all going over it. That's what happened.
So y'all marked out about it.
Yeah, we marked out and talked about it. I was like, I know I had a long discussion about that, like as it happened. So
yep, you heard it here, guys. WLC was a legit match of the night.
It was, dude. It's legit to go back up and watch. Like I've actually watched it since then, and it's a pretty good match.
Yep,
it's definitely a crowning achievement for those dudes.
Definitely, it's a far cry from Hornswoggle dressed up as a gator for 3MB.
Yeah,
or true. No, for Slater and Gator. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
wrong tag team.
Slater and Gator.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that it. I mean, that's dude. How does Heath Slater still have a job? Like,
shh. They got rid of the other two. Just don't. Brandon will kill us if we mention it, and Vince listens, and he gets rid of Heath Slater.
But he's never on TV anyway. At least if we cut him, then we might get on TV in Ring of Honor or like. Well, no, I don't think. Honestly, I just don't think he's good enough to work that indie style. I think he's a WWE style wrestler. He's just not very good. I mean, it is what it is.
Don't.
Sorry, Brandon, but that guy's not good. Anyway, so the next match was Miz Cesaro, which is a decent match. Miz, to me, is the kind we were talking about Ryback, like, well, maybe he just works better with a better dance partner. Miz is the guy that can get through a match and not have a clunker with a guy that's either on his same level or below him, and not be nearly as terrible as Ryback. But when he's got a great dance partner, he's really good. Miz was really good in this match. The Miz Cesaro match was really great, but the Big Show finish killed it for me, and the fact that there wasn't enough time. I feel like that match itself could have been the main event, and it would have been good. The six-man tag was surprisingly good, too. And the Trombone and Woods is just an awesome dude. Xavier Woods is like a superstar. I mean, like that with the pun and everything that comes along with it, he is going to be a huge star. Like, he is the star out of New Day, for sure. He's the star.
I honestly think it's between him and Big E. As far as I think he's a little bit brighter because he's got more of the rambunctious side to him. And I also think that if his wrestling career for some reason doesn't pan out, the guy's got a legitimate manager run in him. I mean, he's he's a perfect heater, dude. Like, I mean, he's so good, and you love to hate him, and you love to love him too. Like, I mean, he was over as a babyface. If you ask me,
you love that he's hated. You love that everyone else hates him. That, like, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing.
Right. And Big E, I mean, I thought Big E was pretty boring and pretty bland after the Ziggler thing. Ziggler really helped him in the beginning, and then when he was by himself, like his solo run, his crowning achievement was that match with Rusev, even though he lost. Like that match with Rusev was really good. But he's just come out of his shell personality-wise, and I think that he has a really good solo run in him too when this is all said and done.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's like I honestly think as a team, I think Kofi is probably doing the best work as far as like the actual wrestling. But I think we all know that guy's like his ship is come and gone. Like he is
His
the
ship
veteran in
left.
that group that is just teaching.
Yeah.
Which is sad because I mean the guy still looks great even though he's not as young, but he's really not old either. And he could, I mean that guy you could give him a push to the moon, but it would have to be real soon, and I just don't see an opening for him right now to do that. So I don't know, but we'll see. And this, like I said, the 6 minute was actually pretty good overall. I honestly, I didn't even write down who won the match. I'm pretty sure it was just the baby faces overall,
Yeah,
though.
Babyface is one. They went over. He went over on Kofi, I think. Yeah, I think it was Kofi he went over on. But yeah, it's just, Big E looked good in that match though. Like it's not
Yeah.
like he
Oh,
looked
yeah.
bad.
Yeah,
He
yeah. I
looked
mean,
great
I mean, none of them are working poorly at all. They're all working great. I just think that the workhorse out of the three of them is Kofi Kingston for
as a
sure.
veteran.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. You
Right.
know, it's just Kofi's ship has sailed since they put their finger off of the trigger with the Orton angle. That was Kofi's shot to fame. That angle with Orton was his like skyrocket to the moon, and he'd have been over, super over. But they took their finger off the trigger for some reason. They went tried and true with Cena again, which
Yeah,
I think
which was a bad idea. I really think that he had a lot going into it, and they really could have capitalized on it. But I honestly think that had a lot to do with politics at the time. But that's a different story. I mean,
yeah.
my overall grade for Raw was like a C to C minus, and I've failed a lot of Raws this year. So I mean, it wasn't a terrible Raw. And the angles that they needed to get over, they got over. The Dudley's thing was cool. The podcast itself after Raw was 10 times better. And then I even watched the first look for the Bischoff Monday Night Wars DVD set, and that
Yep,
was
me
pretty
too.
good too. So I enjoyed all that. So overall, I gave it like I said, I gave it a C to C minus.
I gave it a C minus for Raw. The podcast with Stone Cold was an A plus for me. I love little backstage tidbits, like small stuff, like the playing the rib on him while they're tying him up on the
Yeah,
cross.
yeah,
I laughed so hard at
yeah,
that. You know,
yeah. It was
the
great, man.
where Austin was trying to pull the rib with the harmonicas, but they brought the ukulele and the hat.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. Like
And then he did like a few like serious questions with that little toy cowboy hat on.
yep, loved it, loved it.
Pretty
I,
great.
and it's just I love hearing about like the boys, like not what we see on TV, but the boys. You know what I mean? Like I like hearing about that environment. Like that's kind of cool. Like how their camaraderie like that. Which is why
Yeah.
I like Swerved. I like Swerved. I don't know how many people like Swerved, but I like Swerved. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's
You
all
know?
right. I mean, I didn't mind it, but all right, I like the first two episodes, and then the third one, it was like I could tell they're just not very good actors, and I kind of knew they knew the pranks were coming, and that's when I was like, all right, yeah, I'm not watching this.
Just watch the highlights. Like just watch the finale has highlights of everything, and they get revenge. So like that's the best one right there because it highlights all the good stuff and then the roster flips it around on the crew. So like that's the best episode to watch. I've watched them all, but that one was the best one because you got to see everything. It's like a
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check
montage.
that out.
So I know we're gonna get into NXT here in a second, but I've just realized that I have SmackDown results because I've read the spoilers because I'm a mark and that's what I do. Do we want to review SmackDown today, or do we want to postpone SmackDown as it has not aired and we can only judge based on the booking?
We can wait on SmackDown and tag it on the next week then.
Okay, so that's what we'll do now. We'll have a week in wrestling, but our SmackDown will be a week previous because
Yeah,
of it being recorded and not airing until Thursday. So
yeah,
that is what we will do because we have to work around football. So,
yeah.
eh,
Got to, man. Got to.
sorry guys, we're marks, but we're sports fans too.
Yep.
Gotta
All
level the
right.
playing field.
If you haven't noticed already, just saying.
Yep. He's got his Patriots stuff on. Saints don't play till Sunday, so
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, you're
yeah,
clear right now.
yeah. I'm good. You have the regular season opener, so.
I do, man. Stoked about it.
So, but let's get into NXT, man, because I watched NXT and I don't usually watch NXT. Like I don't usually not read spoilers and watch NXT. I did not read spoilers for this week. This is the first week where I don't have spoilers, and I watched the full episode and I am so happy that I did not read spoilers because I think I'm going to just like throw away spoilers on NXT entirely
Yeah.
and just
Oh yeah.
enjoy the
You
1 hour
should.
show.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely, dude. Because it's the best show on TV. I mean, it's the best show,
that's
and
my
I'm
thing.
including
The number
all the
one.
shows. It's better than anything. Better than Lucha Underground. Better than Raw. Better than SmackDown. Better than Ring of Honor. Better than anything. NXT is the best show on TV right now. Period.
Period. And it's not even on TV. It's on the network for just a nominal fee.
$9.99.
There you go. So you've done good. You took the reins for Raw. So I'm gonna just let you keep going. Let's hit
Okay.
NXT.
All right. I have written down here on a small note that I'm pretty sure that they're editing and post some crowd noise in with the actual live reactions. I'm pretty sure they're doing that. Because I was listening with like one headphone. I was in the bed. The little guy was trying to go to sleep, and there was a point where she was getting in the ring, and I could actually hear, because when you have it down low, you can kind of hear the separation, and it's like you can kind of hear this fake talking that's fake. You know what I mean? Like you could tell it wasn't the same. It didn't have like
didn't fit
that
with the crowd.
natural sound of the microphone. It was like it sounded like crowd noise. And I'm pretty sure they're doing that. I'm not knocking them for doing that. That's fine. To me as a musician and like that kind of thing, like I noticed those small little edits and that kind of thing. And so I thought that was kind of interesting that they would be doing that when I feel like their crowds are generally pretty hot to begin with.
I only noticed it during the intro when everyone was chanting NXT. That's really the only spot I noticed it, but I wasn't really looking for it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I wasn't looking for it. I'll be able to keep my ears open for next week. But crowd noise aside, I mean, I don't blame them for pumping in crowd noise because if a crowd's dead, man. You got to make
Yeah.
it look good for TV, or
Right.
TV, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So, opening match was
Opening
that?
match was Carmella versus Peyton Royce.
That's right. So, what'd you think about Carmella in the ring? Because I haven't seen Carmella work an actual singles match in a minute. So it's just for what it was, I enjoyed it. I just my initial thought, I've been spoiled. My first thought literally was this isn't Sasha and Bailey.
Right. But what
And
is? I mean,
right, right.
there's dude matches that aren't as good as that. There's a lot of them actually that aren't as good as that. But I mean, I felt like I'm pretty sure they called it her in-ring debut, and I'm almost positive that she was just squashed by somebody like 2 or 3 weeks ago without a name. I'm almost positive.
She was squashed by Eva Marie.
No, that was the girl
that was
Dana
Billy.
Brooke.
That was Billy. Yeah, that was Billy. I'm sorry. I don't know. The name is familiar though. Like
Yeah.
Peyton Royce is a familiar name. That's not the first time I've heard it. So
Right.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they called it her debut, and maybe it was, and maybe we're just mixing them up because they do actually look really similar. That the other girl that jobbed to Eva and Dana Brooke this past week, she does look very similar to Peyton Royce. And I felt like the match was actually pretty good, but I felt like they got too much time. Like it hurt them because their repertoire isn't really large enough to carry as much time as they did, and I felt like there were a lot of rest holds. The new Carmella finish is awesome, though. The complete shot into that leg sleeper type thing.
Yeah, that's a cool move.
That's awesome. And I do feel like she's got to stop doing that stupid ass shoulder bounce all the time. That kills me. Like she's got to stop doing that. I do feel like if she really kind of changes her character to be not so kiddie and a little bit more adult. I'm not saying be sexy and be like I'm just saying just be a little bit more serious. And if you can add to your repertoire a little bit, I feel like she can be another classic NXT diva that can put on 5-star matches. So but right now she's green. She's still very green, but I can see the potential there. I gave that match overall C-.
I'm pretty much the same. I gave it a solid C. I think if she ditches the shoulder bounce but keeps the moonwalk is a hit.
Oh yeah, moonwalk is awesome. The moonwalk is really good, and she pulls it off really well.
She does. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I gave it a C.
Yeah, I mean, it was decent for what it was. The next little segment was the Balor Joe like little short promo, and it was good. I like that they're keeping them both babyface and they're not causing a rift, but they're subtly and subconsciously putting that like, hey, don't forget your belt. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like Joe being a heel at all. It was just Joe kind of saying like, hey, I know you're the champ. You know what I'm saying? Like, just so you know,
It,
I
yep.
know, what this is right here. You know what I mean? Like, and I felt like that was written really well. I don't even know if that was necessarily written for them or if that was off the cuff. It was probably written for them. But I've heard that they do get a lot more liberty in NXT because Vince is actually wanting to go back to a little bit less scripted. I actually heard that he's about to cut 8 writers. And they're going to go back down to a 4-writer team, which would be brilliant. I
Well,
mean,
we can
12
cross our
fucking
fingers for
writers,
that.
12 fucking writers for 2 TV shows is ridiculous, by the way. That's ridiculous. Well, I mean, as far as pro wrestling, I mean, if you're writing a sitcom, whatever, that's fine. Have as many hands in the pot as you can. But if, I mean, it's pro wrestling, dude, I feel like there's so many good ideas that just get stepped on each other just so somebody can make sure that they got something in on the show and they were contributing. That actually hurts the show, so and this promo is kind of a good example of like just give them bullet points and let them come up with their own words. That's when wrestling was always the best. And now that everything is super scripted, it's just not as good. And the guys that are allowed to go off the cuff, like Cena and like Rollins, you can see that. And Triple H, they're the best 3 promos on the main roster, period, right now.
Yep.
Besides maybe Bray Wyatt. And I think that he actually probably contributes with the writing for his character. Could be completely wrong on that, but whoever writes his character, you definitely got to keep that guy. Overall, promo was great, though, I thought.
No, I agree. It was short and sweet. And like you said, it keeps some focus on the NXT title. It acknowledges that Joe is a guy who is a former champion. He is a world-renowned star, and he knows what he is actually in NXT for. This Dusty Rhodes Classic may be a bump in the road, but the path is still the same. So I liked it. It was short, sweet. Both guys delivered really well. So I hope that Finn continues to improve on a promo side of things because his ring work is there, but I hope he continues to improve on the promo side of things so he can have a very successful main roster run.
Yeah, agreed.
I think he'll be successful either way. I think he'll be more successful with another 6 to 8 months worth of solid promo work.
Yeah, if he doesn't become a good promo, he's never going to get higher than Cesaro on the main roster. Never.
But Finn Balor versus Cesaro, I won't complain about.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You
Not
know,
at all.
I'll just sit and wish for more. But
Yeah.
so after that promo did we go into the singles match? Did we go into the other women's match, or did we go?
No, we
I
went
don't remember.
to that was your those indie darlings versus.
Oh, that's right.
Dempsey.
That's right. Breeze and Bull Dempsey versus Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. That was you didn't. I know you and I talked about this, and you didn't like it a whole lot because you didn't get to see enough out of them. And I agree that we didn't get to see enough out of them. I follow their indie work, so I know what they can do. And let me tell you something, dude.
I think too that like I heard about them. I hadn't seen any other tape, but I've heard about them, and I heard the hype, and I was stoked. I had seen everybody. So I mean, I actually wrote in the notes like I don't know much about these guys, but I'm really excited for this match because I figured like, well, these guys are going up against 2 really good, solid NXT names, and it's going to be a great match. And it felt like I was watching like Breeze and Dempsey as a tag team working like. Jordan and Dillinger when they were, you know what I mean? It felt that bad to me. It felt like they were just getting bumped around, and that finish was awful. It was really bad. Like the guys, I mean, Bull Dempsey had to like lay a weird way just to make the pin work. Like it was, and it's there's like a lot of flipping for a pinning combination. Like it's like there's no impact there. It makes no sense. It's a terrible finish. Sorry, like I don't know if that's what they're using in the indies, but that's a garbage finish. So.
They're not I don't think, if I remember right, they're not a solid tag team. They're known for singles competition. Like, if you listen to the chants, they called Johnny Wrestling. Like, he's huge on the West Coast. The guy, Johnny, it's Johnny Gargano.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I said it wrong. Shit.
Is that his real name?
I believe so. I'd have to research all that.
I feel like these guys are but they've had these names in Ring of Honor too, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. These are like their they're not just NXT names. Those are their indie working names.
Okay.
And that's what's that's what I like about it, is that they actually are using their ring names. And I just just go watch some of the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla stuff, or go watch some of the Dragon USA stuff. Like, watch any of that, and like you'll see. Like, trust me, they're pretty damn good talent. I think they got the shaft on NXT a little bit because I think they more focused on the miscoordination between Dempsey and Breeze than anything.
But I thought that was great, though. Like I felt like
I get it. It's great for the two of them, and maybe they did it because those two guys haven't signed the contracts yet. Like, because they're not under NXT contract. I don't think. I think they just came in to work the Classic. I know they got tryouts. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about them officially signing contracts, so I don't know.
Yeah, I actually like the match, dude. And honestly, this match to me made Tyler Breeze is officially a main eventer to me. Like, he is a main event talent to me on the main roster now. He could go up and be where Kevin Owens was when he debuted. That's where he should be. Like, I could see him working a baby face like Ambrose, like Breeze versus Ambrose when he comes up after they split up that Shield thing. I feel like it would elevate both guys. Ambrose would be a great baby face for him to work again. He could talk about how ugly he is and stupid looking and all that stuff, and it would be great. And Dempsey, like, I wasn't big on him, but I like him as a baby face for some weird reason. I think it works better for him. I think he just seems jolly. Like, you just want to like the guy. You know what I mean? It's like there's some big guys that they're big, so they think that they get booked like monsters, and it just doesn't work. Like, I think honestly that's why Brodus Clay never would have went over as a monster, and that's why Tensai or Albert was always way more popular as a babyface. It just because even though you're big, it's just there's something that's just like, I don't know, like soft about them, and I don't mean soft in like a negative way. I just mean there's like there's something like welcoming about those people. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's the shape of their face or their rotundness or whatever, but it's just
they look like a big teddy bear, man. You just want to give him a hug.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Bull Dempsey fits that perfectly. So I gave the match a B-, but I really felt like it was a B- because of Breeze and Dempsey, and it could have been any other two guys against them, in my opinion.
For what that match was, I will agree. I'm excited to see, though, if they keep those two guys around. And if they
they won, right?
Yeah, they won, so they're around for the Classic. But I mean after the Classic. Like, I wonder if they're going to sign them.
I'm sure they'll sign them.
So that'll be cool. And that way we can see some more of them in NXT. Because, we've said it before, NXT is the place to be right now if you're wrestling. It's not Raw. Obviously, Raw is the money goal. Going on the road with the main roster is the money goal. But, like, as far as, like, as a mark, the place for wrestlers to be is NXT. And that's just a God-given fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after Dempsey and Breeze, the B- of the night.
Yeah, there was the Lucha Dragons promo, which was their like Dusty tribute thing, and it's weird because it's like we all know this Sin Cara is Hunico, but apparently he forgot how to speak English. Like, we all know it's the same guy, but he can only speak Spanish, and Kalisto is his interpreter, and he was pretty much saying the exact same thing that Sin Cara just said in Spanish. I like that they got a chance to like pay tribute or whatever. I just thought it could have been done better. Lackluster promo. Didn't even really need it, honestly, but whatever.
I feel like the Lucha Dragons are a team that don't need to talk.
Yeah, ever.
Like, come in, be the spot monkeys, do your job.
Yeah.
Like that's just me. Like,
no, I agree. 100%
spot monkey.
Yeah.
They're not Rey Mysterio.
Two promos in a row. I think they had like a little break and they showed like the 12 rounds trailer or something like that. But then it was the Dana Brooke promo. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to laugh because I know you're about to get into your bitch mode, but it's okay. I'm done. I got it.
All right. Dana Brooke promo is like a peanut butter and tuna sandwich. It is absolute vile, disgusting crap. The sound of her voice is terrible. And honestly, like, what's really starting to bother me is that she's getting confident. Like, she's getting confidence, meaning that you can tell that she really does believe that she's a pretty good wrestler now. Like, and that's mind-blowing to me. All right, Eva Marie is garbage. She's drizzling shit of garbage in the wrestling ring. She's terrible. And she's been working with Kendrick, who's a great worker, trained by the greatest of all time, and she just can't manage to get it right. And that's fine. You want to know why? Because Eva is hot and she has a crossover appeal. Dana Brooke is like a knuckle dragger. She's like she looks fugly, dude. She's not. And I'm not saying that like I'm saying that's how they present her. I'm not dogging her as a woman. I'm saying that the way they present her is absolute garbage. And the fact that she's like, I gave up a spot at the Arnold Classic to stay here and wrestle. Like the Arnold Classic is anywhere near being signed to this company. Like it was a huge sacrifice for you to go to some like place where there might be 1,000 people there watching you to like being on this network where over 1 million people see you and you act that it's like, but and she was genuine. It wasn't just her trying to get heat. She was being genuine. Like, I gave up this spot to do this. I really want to be here. It's like, you are such an idiot. Like I hate her. I hate her promo. I gave it an F, a flat F. If I could a negative, I would.
Oh, it's so good when you just get on them. It's great. Although I will agree, because I think they're making a mistake with her. I think. Do you notice that like they're kind of doing like a beautified China with her?
Yes.
Like does my train of thought there make sense? Like
yes.
she's the bodybuilder
but she's
type.
Not nearly as good of a worker.
No, China could beat the shit out of people. Like
and she could take a solid bump. I mean, she was not a great worker either. I'm not saying she was great, but she was worlds better than Dana Brooke.
But and the sad part is that it's not just her that's getting confident, dude. She was getting pops. She was getting pops in that freaking building. I understand it.
It's now, half and half now, and that's sad. That's
right,
sad.
Right.
Like,
it is gone.
And you like Dana Brooke and you watch this show, don't ever watch me again. You should never watch wrestling again. You don't deserve to be able to watch pro wrestling ever again.
It's gone from them hating her because they don't know her to half and half. Now, I understand that they are in Full Sail. And Full Sail is nothing more than an independent scene.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll do a shout out here to Brandon Shue, who watches our show because he likes watching listening to our Raw results. He goes to a show twice a month called MPX, Metroplex Wrestling. Shout out to you guys in Texas. They have the same building. They have a show twice a month, and even their heels get pops because they work to a dedicated audience.
Yeah.
And people like who they like. And that is the only problem with Full Sail, is that there is a dedicated audience there.
Yeah,
and that
if you have
dedicated
people coming
audience,
every week, you can get anything over. You can get anything over. That's why Adam Rose, everyone thought it was going to get over because it was so over in NXT and it flopped that's why the Ascension has pretty much flopped. It doesn't, just because an angle is getting over in NXT doesn't mean it works. And that's why not everything that comes out of NXT is great. I mean, a lot of it, I'd say close to 90% of the stuff that NXT does is golden. But there's the other 10% is really bad. It's not like it's WWE bad. That's the best way I could possibly put it. It's main roster SmackDown dark match bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's terrible. So I see what you're saying though, and I completely agree. It's because they have a built-in audience that everybody gets over. And to me, I mean, I literally clapped when they were like, you know, we love Dana, and the other half was like, no, we don't. Like, I clapped for them. I was like, at least there are still some smart people there that are like, yep, just don't let her take you to the dark side, man. Just because she comes out and does that ridiculous, stupid-ass dance, and that
stupid taunt.
Oh my God! Her intro, and she does the same little baby routine with her hands like 17 times in the intro. Like, it's the same exact thing, and it's so annoying. God.
I literally, when I watch her entrance, my literal first thought is Daniel's going to tear this apart. That is my first thought. My first thought, and my only thought from there is, good God, that taunt is horrible. Like, just stop.
It's garbage, man. It's absolute garbage.
We could pour heat on Dana Brooke all day, guys.
All day. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that.
We're not. No.
So right after that, they showed the 2K16 commercial, and every time I see this, I just crave an Austin comeback. It's probably because I listen to both of his podcasts, so I hear him all the time, and but I really feel like they should treat Austin, if he's able to do it, and I know he is, and if they're willing to do it, maybe next year they should treat him like they did The Rock in 2012. Let him work like 10 shows and 2 or 3 huge matches. And do that, because he's certainly not busier than The Rock. You know what I mean? Like,
No, not
and
at
it's
all.
like, and dude, and they could benefit so much from that. He could get a shot back in the ass in his career. Not that his career is in a lull, but I mean, you can do better than Redneck Allen on CMT, buddy. You know what I mean? You're Stone Cold Steve Austin, dude. You should at least have like a primetime show. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, I really hope they do it. I think they need him. I think he could use it. I think it would totally work. But that's fantasy booking again. And then we had the Ty Dillinger package, which I enjoyed. I like his new gimmick. But this is something that I fear is going to be another NXT hang-up, where it's going to get over in NXT and it's going to flop on the main roster. It feels like Adam Rose Part 2. It really does. And on a side note there, please, dear God, just bring back Leo Kruger. Please, God. I know that Michael P.S. Hayes, who's a legend, much respect for him, but that dude is an idiot if he thought no one would pay to see Leo Kruger, because he was so much better, and he's just wrong. Sometimes legends are wrong, and he was wrong. Leo Kruger, that whole gimmick was 50 times better than Adam Rose ever was. And he's a great wrestler, and I like him. I like that ESPN thing that they did on him. I would love to see Leo Kruger back in the WWE, whether you put him in the Wyatt group or whatever, or whether you just put him back in NXT, or if you just bring him back to the main roster as Leo Kruger. I know they're doing that party pooper thing with Adam Rose now, but they should just cut their losses and make him Leo Kruger again.
Again, they should do with him like they need to do with Carmella. Just mature him up a little bit. Let him. He could stay Adam Rose, but take on the Leo Kruger persona as his darker persona.
Yeah.
Like just darken him up a little bit. Let him get a little more heat. And I think that'll help him a lot. I agree on all accounts with Adam Rose. And I actually do. That was my thought when I saw Ty Dillinger. I was like, oh man, it feels like the Exotic Express again. Like I feel like I'm watching an Adam Rose promo.
Yeah.
It's just they need to figure something out with it, man.
I agree. So. And then after this was the damn Dana Brooke match with Billie Kay. So this blows my mind, right? You have a match with Eva Marie last week, which was a hugest stinker ever. Like, just it stunk up the whole joint. Terrible match. And so you have your worst. I mean, I'll say this: she is probably the worst wrestler, but at least she has crossover appeal to me, like Maxim Magazine and that kind of thing. As a company, it makes more sense to keep a girl like Eva Marie to me. But she has a terrible match with Billie Kay last week. So this week they put the second worst worker, Dana Brooke, into a match with Billie Kay. What? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It makes no sense. Why would you not go ahead and have that match against Emma, because Emma won? And by the way, that match that Emma won to be the #1 contender or whatever, did you watch that?
I watched, and I heard that
they just cut the finish. They cut the finish. Like, I think that they ran out of time, and I don't think Emma was scheduled to win that match. Because as soon as they counted to 3, Emma was like, what? Like, I mean, looked at him and was like, what? Like, I mean, and just kind of, I mean, then she, like, kind of went with it, but, like, wait, so they originally had Dana Brooke scheduled to win the #1 contenders match?
The word that I have heard on dirt sheets was that Dana Brooke botched the end of that match, and that she was supposed to win because she's beaten Bayley, and Bayley was supposed to face Dana in her first defense. I heard that was the original script. Now, I don't know if it's true. It has not been confirmed, not by Meltzer, not by Keller, not by anybody. That has not been confirmed. It's strictly a rumor right now, but there haven't been any rumor killers yet.
And dude, the end of that match was rushed. Whether they just ran out of time and it was simply a run out of time thing, or whether it was, wow, Dana Brooke botched that match, we might as well just go ahead and put it on somebody else while we can and just tell the referee. But either way, I mean, this match, I literally saw the referee giving them spots. I heard the referee calling spots for them. That's how bad they are. That's how the wrestlers are. Without that referee, it wouldn't have been. They would have had to edit out the entire match. They wouldn't even be able to have it on the show. It was so bad. Obvious F minus. I would have given this match a 0. It's terrible. Thank God for that referee. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not a Dana Brooke fan. And the sad part is that I think Billie has a lot of potential. She's tall. That big boot looks clean as hell whenever she actually can get it. So
but she's green. You can tell she's super green.
Yeah, she's new. She's super new. You could tell from the minute she walks out. Like she's really like deer in the headlights when she gets out there. She's very like innocent, like wave kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
but she'll mature. That's what NXT is. It's a place to grow and mature. And look at
Right.
Bailey. Bailey was starstruck whenever she got there, and look at her
Yeah.
now. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. That's a
so
good point.
there's room there, and that's what that place is for. It's just that we get to watch the development on a weekly basis, and that's great. But I think that putting her with the two worst women workers that are down there is a bad idea to start
Terrible
off.
idea.
But
Terrible
yeah,
idea.
just that's just whatever. They're gonna do what they want to do anyway. But I failed the match. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, absolute F, dude. I mean, and then the Apollo Crews promo was right after that, which was great. The Apollo Nation. I like that he dropped that little subtle thing there. Um, that was clever to me. It was well played. I don't know if I was written for him or not, but honestly, dude, like I'm kind of taking him with a grain of salt right now because I did see some Moolah Nation stuff, and I do think he's a talented in-ring guy, but I never thought he was like a super over personality. So. I'm kind of just judging him as days go on. I'm not like all the rest of the IWC where it's just like singing his praises. I thought he did a decent match at the Takeover. I thought his reaction and his entrance were probably better than the match itself. But I think that he's going to be good, but I'm not like saying, oh, he's already great. They should just do whatever with him. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that he does need to kind of work up and pay his dues.
Absolutely. I don't see him as a Kevin Owens. He's not
Right.
Kevin Steen. He's
Right.
not El Generico. He's
Right.
not Prince DeVitt. Like he's not those guys.
Right.
And he's only worked jobbers. Like he's only worked a couple of jobbers, and I hate to say that about some people down there, but he worked Ty Dillinger, who is in the middle of a gimmick transition, jobber. And I even forget the name of the guy that he worked this week. Like I don't even know him. I don't even remember him.
Wait, who worked?
That Apollo Crews worked.
He didn't work anybody this week.
You sure? Or was it last week? Oh, it was last week. I'm sorry. I said this week. Last week he worked a singles match. But I don't remember his opponent.
Yeah, I don't either.
I
watched it last week, but now that I knew we were covering it, I take notes, and I did. If I don't take notes, I drink too much beer and I'll forget everything between now and the show. So
yeah, but I'm the same way. Like I have to write notes and I have to remember unless it's like super pop out in my head. You know what I mean? Like unless it's a phenomenal show. But I think that when he gets to the point where he can work like a Tyler Breeze or like a Baron Corbin or somebody like that, I think he'll be great as a standout. It's just he needs to do something more than jobbers.
Yeah.
That's it. So.
Yeah, I mean, the main event after that, like closing the show, was awesome. I thought the Lucha Dragons versus Samoa Joe and Finn Balor was really solid. The match was really good. I mean, they even made Sin Cara look good, which is impossible. I mean, Kalisto obviously normally, not all the time, but normally he does really well. Sometimes he gets ahead of himself and screws up some spots, but he was really good. I like that they're doing main events as dark matches on main roster shows. Joe got a huge pop, and you could see on his face that he was feeding from the larger crowd. And I mean, I think that after they do the obvious angle with Balor and Joe, I really think they need to just go ahead and pull the trigger and bring Joe up. And I think that they should wait. Hopefully give it a few months and then not bring it up until after Owens has already established himself, because I really think you need to bring Joe up as a heel. And if you bring him up as a heel now or anytime soon, it's going to kind of either diminish Owens and hurt Owens, or it's going to hurt Joe because Owens is already there and already did that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I give the match an A. The finish was awesome. The Muscle Buster and the coup de grace was fantastic. I saw your little post about that, and I completely agree. I thought it was great. And I thought, I gave the match an A, and I gave NXT overall, I gave a B to B minus.
I gave it an A minus for the week. I did not let Dana Brooke and Eva Marie bring it down because of how good that main event was.
Yeah, it was a really good main event.
So that, I mean, and not just Joe, but Balor got a pretty good pop going in too. Like, I mean, it's and plus the good thing about them doing the main events as dark matches for like Raw or for SmackDown or something like that. The good thing about that is that you get to test it because Balor got to test his entrance at a actual like full scale WWE show. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And you could tell that it was either his first or second. You know, it was one of his first times doing it because he looked a little rushed
yeah.
when he got down to the
Yeah, the
steps.
ramp's a
You
lot
know,
longer, buddy. It's a lot longer than you initially anticipated. I thought that too. I was like, man, he's spending a lot of time at the top of the ramp there. I mean, it's like, because the NXT ramp is probably half the size of the Raw ramp. So,
yep, yep.
um, but yeah, I noticed that too. And it was kind of weird when he tried to do like the light with the awe moment. Like he does he almost did like the Bret Hart where he opens his leather jacket and there's the belt. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if that's the best look for you, but yeah, I mean, that didn't really matter. Samoa Joe killed it. His entrance was great, and he got a huge Joe chant. The Lucha Dragons have been on the main roster forever, so that wasn't anything new. But yeah, it was great. Overall, show got B-. Honestly, number one reason was Dana Brooke. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm excited about tonight, man. I'm excited about my Patriots versus Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm very, very happy to see them hang the banner in Foxborough. And
Yep.
stoked, man. And just for you fans out there, me and Matthew are actually against each other in our fantasy league.
Yep,
So,
that's right. We sure are.
So the show was a little tense. Now you know why.
That's okay. I have both Big Ben and Tom Brady in a fantasy league. So I made the decision. I am starting Tom Brady. Week 1, suspension has been revoked. Chip on the man's shoulder, returning Super Bowl champ. The man's got 4 rings for a reason. How do you not?
Dude, and if you think about it, man, anytime he has huge adversity, like right after Spygate, that's when they had the undefeated season. And then right after he came back from, having that.
Well, he had something. Are we back? Are we back with the after having that? Are we good?
Yeah, that was weird. Anyway,
Yeah, you were laggy for a little while. I don't know what it was.
after having that moment where that season where Matt Castle started, I mean, he came back and that's when he broke those the touchdown record. So I really think I didn't think so, before, but now that his suspension's nullified, man, I'm thinking repeat, dude. I can't see another team in the AFC that's going to be better. So I'm thinking they may not win it, but I'm thinking they're going back to the Super Bowl again this year.
It'll be close. If you listen to Bill, he's going to say the Colts are going to give you a run, but we're not getting to that conversation.
Oh, the Colts are the only other team in the AFC that I think could get close. I think that'll be the AFC Championship game, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be an AFC repeat. But I agree. And at the mention of Bill, shout out to Bill. Bill got to meet Vince McMahon at his work because Bill works in the gym.
Yeah, dude, super shout out, man.
Yeah, so props to him. That was cool. But guys, that's going to do it for a week in wrestling. That's Raw, that's NXT. SmackDown's coming on the night, but it's coming on the night. We're going to miss it because of football. We'll watch it on Friday. We'll catch it next week. Make sure you guys are with us next week. We'll hit this week's SmackDown. We'll hit Raw. We'll hit NXT again. And for that, that's it for now, man. Just another week in the books. We're going back to a week in wrestling. We're not doing just Raw. So get ready for a full-length show, guys. We're in for the long haul. I'm Matthew Talon. That's Daniel John Schaefer. We are Mouth of the Mark. This was a week in wrestling. Catch y'all next week.